Hi everyone, it's Sarah here, and I'm back with my vlog, Faith at Home, Not Alone. And I think this month's topic is a really important one. I know it's been really important for me. So as I was thinking about what to write for this month, I was really struggling, and I actually had decided I was probably just not going to do one for the month of November, and see if I could get something together for the next month. But then as I was spending some time in prayer, I just really recognized that there was this deep weariness that I was experiencing, and maybe it's not just me experiencing that. So a couple of verses that I've been reflecting on are from Matthew chapter 11, at the end of the chapter. They might be familiar to you. I'm just going to read them here. This is from the NLT version. Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light." And I don't know about you, but I feel like the things that I've been carrying lately, either at home or at work, or just generally speaking, have not been light, or I haven't felt that I've had that place where I could find that soul rest that I really crave. So I want to just explore this concept a bit more on what does it mean to have this kind of rest. What kind of rest is Jesus talking about? And I think one of the reasons that I know I get really tired, I don't know about you, but is that I forget that I'm a limited human being. I forget that I need to take time to rest. Every day I need to take time to rest. Every night I need to have good sleep. Throughout my week, I need rhythms of rest in the midst of work. And I'm not always resting well. I think my default, especially when I'm overtired, is to do things that make me maybe feel better or try to give me some energy, but they're not really working well. Like maybe eating, I tend to eat a lot of sugary things, or I noticed myself watching a lot of Netflix, like I was binge watching some series. And I think they were my way of just trying to cope with being overtired and trying to find that rest, but they weren't giving me the rest that I was really wanting. And it was interesting because I was recently on a retreat, a pastor's retreat with our Canadian Baptists of Atlantic Canada group. And it's always great. I'm realizing more and more that I need that time, just really time focused on being able to spend it with God. And I remember when I had young children, hearing people talking about going on retreats like this and thinking, oh my goodness, that's never going to happen. Like, that's so unrealistic. But now I'm at the stage of life where my children are older, and I am able to take those retreats. And I just say, if you can take something like that, it is really worthwhile. But it was also a time that, as I was talking to my spiritual director just about this weariness, that she was reminding me of some of the things, just even the past 3.5 years since the pandemic started, that when we go into a place of crisis, or when things shift so much like that, we have to draw on our reserves. So we have these reserves built up, emotional reserves, physical reserves, and you go into them and use them when they're needed. And then usually we get a break. The crisis is over. We can take a break. We replenish ourselves, and those reserves build back up. Well, the last, the 3-ish years of the pandemic, and even I would say last year where we were coming out of it, but we were never really sure, is something still going to happen or not? Well, during that whole season, we really depleted our reserves. We used up all those kind of backup reserves that we would have. So now when we face just everyday regular things, like maybe there's an extra event during the week, or maybe we've had a few nights of really bad sleep. The kids have been up and we're just feeling so depleted. Maybe our children are feeling also extra needy, and that just, we don't have those extra reserves built in to help them navigate their own depletion. So we have to recognize where are we at emotionally? Are we at a place where we're really feeling depleted? And if so, well, how do we restore? How do we find that restoration? How do we build up those reserves? And I was kind of thinking of the analogy of a generator, especially as we're coming into our cold winter months and there could be power outages. I know we have a generator that kicks in and it has a limited amount of gas that we can put into it, and it'll give us X number of hours of power, depending on how much we plug into it before it needs to get filled again. And I think if we think of ourselves like that generator, so we have the reserve, a crisis hits, we have a problem at work, we have a problem at home, maybe it's a financial problem, maybe it's just even some of the normal things of life, but they just feel heavier, they feel weightier. And so our body is wanting to kick into the generator, say, okay, let's go get our reserves, and the tank is really low or might even be empty. And we find ourselves reacting in ways that we regret. We react out of anger, we react out of pain, or maybe like me, you find yourself almost just trying to numb yourself. You're binge watching, or you're watching your screen more, or you're getting into habits that are really kind of almost trying to emotionally survive, but you're not able to connect with your family, your spouse, or your kids the way that you want to. And I think this is where we can say, okay, Lord, show us what's going on. Show me what's happening in my heart. I'm recognizing that I am really weary, and we can come to Him with that weariness. So I want to just read that verse again. I'm going to read it in a different translation or paraphrase, and just listen again. Listen to any words or phrases that stand out to you. This is from the Message. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Wow, I just find every time I read that, there's something in me that's like, yes, this is what I need. This is what I'm really wanting. And part of that means that we need to come to Jesus for that. Instead of turning to TV, instead of turning to food, instead of turning to the other things, maybe it's getting busier as a way of coping. Instead of those things, we need to come to our Heavenly Father, who loves us, who knows us, and who can really lead us into place of rest that we need. And I know for myself, one of my roots of weariness is that I try to do things all on my own, carry things on my own. I'm not really trusting that God is with me, and I need to lean more on Him. I need to trust Him. And that might mean saying no to certain things. It might mean taking a step back and saying, okay, God, what is it that you want me to do here? What are you asking me to do? And what are maybe the things that I'm trying to put on myself as things that I should be doing, but they're not really things that God is asking me to do. I think as I see a lot of families, I just see and hear so many people talking about how busy things are, how busy they are. There's just so much. I think we're trying to get back to normal, trying to do all the things that we did before or thought that we needed to do before. And there's no spaces. There's no kind of white margin. If you think of a piece of paper and the white margin around it, where you need some space so you could write some notes or do things, but we need some of that white space in our lives. We need those margins just to rest, just to relax, to even let ourselves think about things. And maybe that's uncomfortable for you. Maybe when you do stop, you start to feel things that are uncomfortable. You might start to feel some grief or some pain. But I want to encourage you that you can bring those to God, that you can bring them to Him and ask Him to carry them with you. Jesus said His burden is light because He carries it with us. We're not alone. I also think that I'm often weary because I try to do things on my own. Maybe I need to be asking others to do them with me. Certainly around the house, I look at my house and think, oh, it's so messy, or things need to get cleaned. And, I need to call on my family to help me. That's not something that I have to carry on my own. But I also think that I'm part of a spiritual community. The church is my family as well. And if I'm feeling alone, if I need prayer, if I need encouragement, I need my family to come alongside me and help as well. So as families, how are you plugging in to your community of faith? How are you plugging in to the family that God has given us, so that we're not walking alone, that we're not doing things on our own, and that we are allowing others to carry that with us? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's always a place to drop the kids off, or that you're going there to have people do things for you. I think being part of a community means we're doing things together, we're doing things for each other. But again, it's not heavy, it's not weighty. It's something that meets a deeper need that we may not even realize. A spiritual community that a spiritual community can only give us. And remember, again, I've mentioned this a number of times, but we're modeling this for our children. We need to model for them how to rest well, how to take breaks, how to really evaluate what is the busyness that we have to be a part of, but what is the busyness maybe that we don't. Maybe your children are involved in 2 or 3 or 4 different things, and you might need to have a family meeting and say, okay, guys, we have school or we have daycare, and we're going to pick maybe one other thing that you can be involved in, and we're also going to be, that church is also a priority for our family. So what are the priorities? And to be willing to let go of the other things. So I think I've thrown out a few different ideas of where is this weariness coming from. It could be coming from unnecessary busyness, things that we think we should be doing or ought to be doing that we don't. And we need to ask God to show us, what is it that you want me to be doing? We need to be practicing rest. We need to be practicing taking breaks. Maybe giving ourselves the gift of a Saturday morning, that we're not going to go out and do things, and we're going to have a nice slow morning on a Saturday morning. We're going to give ourselves the gift of our faith community, that we're going to be plugged in and develop those relationships and have that place where we can also come and encourage others and also be encouraged. And I think ultimately, on a day-to-day basis, we need to be coming to Jesus and saying, Lord, these are the burdens that I'm carrying. Help me come to you. Help me release them to you. And show me your way. Show me how you want to lead me in your unforced rhythms of grace. I'm going to read that one more time and just listen to it again. This is from the version, The Voice. Come to me, says Jesus, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Put my yoke upon your shoulders. It might appear heavy at first, but it's perfectly fitted to your curves. Learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart. When you are yoked to me, your weary souls will find rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. May we find rest for our weary souls in Jesus. And I just pray His blessing on you and your family, and that you know more and more that as you practice faith at home, as you live this relationship out, that you know you're not alone, and that we are in this together. So I just want to ask you, if this was an encouragement to you, that you share it with someone. Feel free to make any comments if there are things that you'd like to add to the discussion. And if you're looking for other resources, you can go to our website, onthejourney.ca. My blog is there, and there's other posts and events and things going on.